Hey everybody, thank you very much for joining me. I have a little good news to share with you all. My mother is home safe and well. Thank you very much for all of your supportive comments. I passed them on to her and she was chuffed to bits that people were wishing her well that she didn't know. It was a lovely thing, and I'll talk a little bit more about my mum if you're interested right at the end of the video. For the shave today, out of all the razors that I've had in recently, I picked the gold one, the Merkur 34G. I've picked this because I'm in communication with a gentleman that finds the 34C to be too aggressive for him. It really is a case in this hobby of your mileage may vary. It's an incredible thing, isn't it? So for the soap today, I've got a Declaration Grooming collaboration with Chatillon Luxe, and it is 88 Chestnut Street. And I have a sensitive aftershave today from my friend Sven. This is a German aftershave. I'm not sure how to pronounce the U with the umlaut above it, but maybe tough or tooth. I'm sure Sven will try and put me right on that, but the brush I'm going to be using today, got some soap already on it, but it is my Suavecito Pure Badger brush, and I've been using this a fair bit recently. I'll tell you about that as we get into the shave. Now I'm going to put a blade in the Merkur 34G. It's beautifully finished on the outside. On the inside, I have to say it's not finished as well as I would have thought. Just inside the head cap there, maybe you can see it is well, it looks a bit cheap, to be honest, inside there. The finish is just not so good, and I know it's inside, and there's also this little ring that is unfinished as well. So that surprised me a little bit. It's like a rough, slightly mottled finish, and the same on the inside of the head cap. But perhaps they just don't polish those areas. Gold is expensive after all. So with the razor came a razor blade. It is a platinum coated blade, and it is from Merkur. It's a Merkur Super. So we're going to pop that in the razor and try and use that today. It's been about 4 years since I used a Merkur 34C. So I know this is the gold version, but I assume that they will shave in a very similar fashion. So I can tell you what I thought in my first video 4 years ago. I used this quite a bit actually. I tried it with lots of different blades. So I can tell you a little bit more about that as well as we go along, and I'll include the link to that video in the description to this video. I had the same wallpaper. Now I've just added a little bit of moisture to my face. This soap from Declaration Grooming and Chatillon Luxe is a beautifully scented citrus soap, and the notes it contains are neroli, lemon, bergamot, lavender, orange, petitgrain, grapefruit and yuzu. It's got a scent strength out of the tub of medium to strong. I would say about 7.5, 7 or 8. Now I've had this on the brush for 5 minutes while I've been setting up, so obviously it's not quite as strong now, but out of the tub it really is a very nice scent. There is a little sweetness to it, but rather than a sweet citrus, especially with the grapefruit and the yuzu, it is more of a sharp citrus than a sweet citrus, more of a zesty citrus. But it is a very nice scent indeed. And it is long lasting, so yeah, very good. I've been enjoying trying this the last few shaves. Now I'm using this pure badger brush. Because I want to see if with a lot of use this will become the badger brush that I've been looking for. I've never found the perfect badger brush for me. I still maintain that the best one I have is my vintage Gillette mini brush from about 1920 or something. What I find with this pure badger brush in particular is that I like the way the knot behaves. But if I go to face lather with it, it prickles, well it actually pricks my skin, and some of the hairs on the brush have been cut to shape it. So you can see, looking at it, I'm trying to see for some that aren't covered in lather. But you can see when you're looking at it that some of the hairs taper to an end and they are starting to splay, and others seem to be just chopped off and are flattened or squared at the end. And maybe it's those that are prickly. So I like the way the brush behaves. I like the way that the soap can get in the brush. I like the way that it moves. But if I do that, even with water in the brush and soap on my face, it is not comfortable, but it is very comfortable to use in a painting fashion like this. Now, pure badger is from the badger's back, and it is the coarsest hair from a badger's pelt, but that's not to say that it is coarse of itself. But anyway, that is why I'm persevering with this brush, and to see if I can just soften those tips. And I'd love to hear your experience if you have a pure badger brush. Now I'm going to start a shave with the Merkur HD Heavy Duty 34C. Well, first of all, the angle is really intuitive and very easy to find. The razor itself has a small handle. It sits nicely in my hand, either that way or that way. Now I have to say, first pass with this blade is okay, but it's not the best blade I've ever used, not by a long way, but it's okay. Now I checked back on my original video from those years ago. I preferred back then a more aggressive razor than I like now. And so I found this at the time to be a very good razor, a very comfortable shave, a very good daily razor for me then, but it lacked a little bit of blade feel, particularly on the second and third pass, I think. I'm finding now on this first pass that there is a little bit of blade feel here. It's certainly not how I imagined it. I'm just going to swap this blade out. It is a two-piece razor. In other words, there is a retaining clip here. So the head cap lifts out, and I'm just going to pop in this Gillette 7 o'clock, the green that I liked from the other day, and we'll see if this is a little better with this razor blade. It's marginally better, but there's not a great deal of difference. Now I was reading about this razor, and Mark, the Sharpologist, did a review on this razor, and his opinion was that it is a middle of the road razor. And in terms of its effectiveness, or its aggression if you like, it is the higher end of average in his opinion. And he found it matched level 3.5 on his Merkur Progress. I don't know if that would help you at all rate this razor. I'm actually finding that on this first pass it's not as smooth as I remember it, but I did try it with a lot of razor blades back then, so it would be interesting to do the same with this razor and try it with lots of different razor blades. It has a brass handle and a Zamac head, so all in all it's a zinc alloy razor, because of course brass is a zinc alloy. It's quite sturdy in the hand. I like the feel of it. I do like the feel of it. It is whether 34C is 80 grams. I wonder if this is a little heavier because of the gold plating. Perhaps not, but it gives you an idea of the weight. It has an 8.3 centimetre height, which is about 3¼ inches. So if you like a short razor, this is maybe quite a good one. It's interesting to note, for those of you that do find this a little aggressive, because some gentlemen do have really sensitive skin, that the 33C is a milder shave. And I think on next Friday's video we'll do a side-by-side comparison with the 34C and the 33C, just to see how they stand up next to each other. And that, of course, will give me the opportunity in the week to shave with this one and the 34C that I have borrowed from Steve, and try it with different blades to see how we go. Now, second pass, let's see how we go. You would expect it feels a lot milder on the second pass and a lot smoother. And this is where, for me, I can't feel the blade. I definitely could on the first pass. On this pass, for me, with the slickness of the soap, going with the grain, it's tending to disappear a little bit, that blade feel. By the way, I want to ask a question about the soap. If you know this soap here is what is called the milk steak base, and that's just a nickname that's come about for the next development of the base at Declaration Grooming. Now, in this base there is milk. I've got a list here: yogurt, milk, egg white, goat's milk, milk protein. So there are all these milk products in the soap, and I wondered if anybody knew, because I don't, what happens during making soap. What happens to those milk products, especially if it's a hot process soap? Do some of them actually cook? No doubt the fats, for example, in the milk will be utilised in the actual chemical process of the soap making. But I wonder what happens to those milk proteins in the soap. And I wondered, as the soap is made from dairy produce, does it then have like a use before date? No mention of that on the soap, but I notice a lot of soaps have milk products in them. I know generally it's deemed to be very good for your skin, but I wondered if anyone had a little more information about that, because in truth I don't really know at all. But this base is a fantastic base. It's a lovely lather. It's so easy to mix up and create a lather. It comes in at $22 in the US for 4 ounces. So there we are. This is a milk steak base. Now with this razor, I'm finding it to be very nice on this pass. It's lovely. If I can put a different blade in and get a bit of a more comfortable experience on the first pass, I think it would be fantastic. Now if there was that little bit of blade feel on the first pass, obviously it's still there. It hasn't suddenly disappeared, so it's just that I'm not feeling it. Yeah, getting a nice shave so far. Now, shall we announce the giveaway for the Stardust soap from Goodfellows Smile? Thank you for taking part in that. I have it up here on my shelf. There we are. This was the giveaway, and yeah, I really appreciate you taking part in this. Our winner is, excuse me if I pronounce your surname incorrectly, I'll try my best, but I'm going to go with Marco Cirilli or Marco Cirilli or Cirilli. Anyway, you get the idea. Marco is our fine winner. So Marco, if you get in touch with me, please, I'll put my email address in the description to the video, or you can catch me on Messenger through Facebook, and I'll get your address and I'll get this out to you. Congratulations, sir, and I'm sure you'll be happy with this because it's a lovely scented soap. I like soaps with petitgrain in, as this one has, and it's rather interesting because it's neroli as well. It's really, really nice, and because there's bergamot in it, that means I've got a Phoenix and Bow soap. It isn't made anymore with petitgrain in it, and it means I can match it up with my neroli aftershave. I'm kind of loving that I can do that. So yeah, maybe I'll bring that out next Friday for the face-off between the 34C and the 33C. Do you know, for a few years now, I've been mistaken in that I thought the 33C was like the vintage Gillette 102A. Was completely mistaken. The 33C is a closed comb, and the Gillette 102A is an open comb. I was thinking of the Merkur 15C. Same size, same look as the 33C, but it has the open comb. So for about 4 years now, I've been completely confused about that. So if you've heard me mention that and you've thought, what's he on about? That's why. You know, I like the scent on this soap. It's really nice. It's really fresh and zingy. It's beautiful. Really nice soap. Right, here we go, against the grain. Now, maybe you can hear that is singing. It's mild enough for me that I can use it against the grain on my face. as I've said before, I couldn't do that for a very long time. But I am finding with a milder razor I'm able to. Some razors more than others, definitely. And I'm finding that the more I do it, the more my skin is getting used to it. And that is something I never really expected would happen. I can't remember which way I went last time. Did I go that way or that way? Let's just pick one. I'll tell you what, I'll do it both. What I quite like about this razor is its hollow handle. It just makes it super easy to rinse the razor. I've enjoyed this razor today, despite that very slightly uncomfortable first pass. Uncomfortable's not the right word, it just wasn't as comfortable as some other razors or some other razor blades. Now I'm just going to pause this and get the door. Hi everyone, I'm back. That was a nurse for my mum, so I had to go and get that. So I finished my shave and I'm going to put on some of this aftershave. Now this has an initial, very slight scent, just because it's made up of a few things, but it's very, very light, and once you put it on and that evaporates, it's pretty much scentless. But I'm finding it to be really quite nice actually. It does say on it, get it on. It does say on it, perfume free. But it certainly is a nice product, and just putting it on here, I've got to say that really was a great shave with the Merkur 34G. I've got no soreness, was quite comfortable through the shave. My problem bits here are really, really short. I never get them completely, and I don't try to, but they are really short. Yeah, what a terrific shave, what a nice razor. So I look forward to using this one and the 34C again and exploring that a little bit more. Thank you for joining me. Now, just before you go, if you're interested, I'll just tell you a little bit about my mum. She went into hospital on Friday, I think it was. Friday evening. My sister took her down. There was a ward that was expecting her, which is like the next step up from accident and emergency. I think in America you call it the emergency room. Somewhere where you go where it's not an emergency, but you definitely need treatment. That ward was so full that it was overflowing into accident and emergency. So that's where my mother sat from about 7 or 8 till 3 o'clock in the morning. She was having tests done during that time, and they were having to wait for the results of those tests before going on to other tests. At 3 in the morning, they put it in a ward on A&E 4, so still part of accident and emergency, and she stayed there until yesterday when she was released. Little did we know that she had a raging infection in her bowel. She had diverticulitis, and that infection was making her really, really poorly. So she was on an intravenous drip for 5 days. We think that she had this infection, and this generally made her feel unwell, and that sort of overall tiredness that came with that is maybe what caused her to have her fall and catch her feet, because she normally is very good on her feet. She fractured her shoulder. As I say, this infection gave her diarrhea for over a week. So it's all sorted out now. The infection has gone. There was no internal bleeding, although they really did look at that. She's got her arm in a sling. She looks much better, but obviously at 83, being in hospital is not a relaxing time for anyone. So really, it has worn her out. So got a nurse just come in to help her out and get some comfortable cushions for her to sit on. So we're all good, but thank you for your support and your encouragement and your well wishes. It was really wonderful. This shaving community really is a fantastic place full of caring people. So on that note, take care of yourselves, be well, and I'll see you very shortly indeed. Bye bye now, all the best.